Morning YouTube, another chilly Oregon sunrise. So, yeah, a lot of information has come to light. We've got pictures and information being leaked out and also being released. So this is where I do videos where I talk about what I got right and what I didn't get right. This actual video is about specifically the weaponry. So I got that right for the most part. Right off the top, I said it was an AR-15 with a drum magazine. So it's come to light that these were AR-15s, and although in the pictures that were leaked I did not see any drum magazines, what I did see was a kind of unusual and not widely distributed 40-round AR magazine. Now, the reason why an AK-47's magazine is so curved is that so you can get prone and the gun can get closer to the ground. If you've got a really long, straight magazine, you can't get close to the ground. AR-15 magazines are usually topped out at 30, and then they jump to a 50-round mag in a drum style because it's smaller and it stays up next to the bottom of the rifle and allows you to get close to the ground in the prone position when you're laying on your stomach. So typically these 40-round stick mags for the AR-15 are not real common because the AR-15 mags are more straight and it just makes you ridiculously far off the ground, so you can't really get prone. So when this guy purchased these magazines, you know, drum magazines aren't always reliable. They sometimes have issues. It's just the nature of the design. Stick magazines are always, you know, reliable. So he purchased some of these kind of rare 40-round magazines, and he had a stack of them, you know, I mean like stacks of these magazines. So I was pretty dead on. In another video, I said that he had maybe that there was an AK-47 because there was later on the sound of a different weapon with this lower cyclic rate. As it turns out, he had a couple of, one or two at least, of the not really super common AR-10. An AR-10 has a much bigger bullet, so it's more of what they consider a full-size battle rifle. The AR-10 is in the same format as the AR-15, and the method that you use to employ them are almost exactly the same, except typically you have 10, maybe 20, you know, round magazines in an AR-10. Once again, because the size of the round makes the magazine much bigger. So this would explain the other sound I heard, which I thought might be an AK, when in fact it was an AR-10. It has a slower cyclic rate because the bullet is longer and the action has to be longer. I suggested that they were automatic or that they had been more than likely purchased legally and then also retrofitted with some kind of device that made them go full auto. And I'm not an AR guy, so I did not know what that device was. Hats off to one of my viewers who early on suggested the bump stock. So I'm not an expert, but what I think the bump stock does is you still have to pull the trigger, so technically I don't think it's fully auto. But there's some kind of inertia mechanism that causes secondary firings to happen from a single trigger pull. So if you know, pull, I don't know. Bump stocks, I'm not a big expert on. So that's the device you use to go full auto. So you didn't get these guns from some illegal source. This bump stock apparently is totally legal under current laws. So I'm not for gun control, but I wouldn't care if they banned the bump stock and made them stop producing them. I don't want them to say you can't own them if you already own them, because that's draconian, and the only way to enforce that is to come in your house and look for them. So I don't think that they should, I don't believe that they should, you know, outlaw the possession, but just, you know, make them stop making them and importing them. I would be fine with that. I do not have a use for a fully automatic weapon because of barrel heating, which is what I talked about in a previous post. So, you know, fully automatic weapons are not useful to me for self-defense, home defense situation. I'm fine with semi-auto. I'm a piano player, so I got fast fingers. So at any rate, I was pretty spot on the weaponry. What was really shocking about this is that there was 100,000 plus in weaponry, magazines, and optics on the many rifles. I've heard 16, I've heard 19, now they're saying 23. The pictures show at least 8 or 10 right there in the picture. You know, Alex Jones has reported that his inside guy said that they killed the, that they had killed the shooter. from the pictures I've seen, it's obvious that he had an intraoral, probably handgun shot to the roof of the mouth. I did see a picture with a revolver laying next to him, which would be probably one of the ideal ways of killing yourself with a handgun if you're going to do it. Don't recommend it. So it looked like every autopsy photo I'd ever studied, and yeah, I studied gunshot autopsy photos. Don't ask me why. I just, need to know, I guess. But at any rate, well, if you're going to own a gun, you need to know what it's like to get shot by one. It's not good. So at any rate, yeah, I got a lot of this right. I wasn't 100%, but I was probably moron than I was more, correct than other people. And lots of people said it was an AK. It didn't sound like an AK to me. There were some segments in this very long shooting where there was a different gun being used. I proposed it might be an AK, but it turns out it was an AR-10 308 rifle. So this is what happens when a millionaire can go on one of these shooting sprees and afford to buy make a $100,000 investment. So we've covered how he did it. And I'm still not convinced that there wasn't another shooter, because there's definitely, obviously, some kind of flash coming from one of the other windows. But I can't, on a lower floor, some are saying the 4th floor. But I can't really, obviously that photo, I believe, is real. The video from the taxi driver is real. But at the same time, there's no broken glass. So, unless they got Houdini bullets that can jump through glass, or unless somehow those windows on the lower floors would allow you to open them, we don't have any other evidence other than this flashing light that he had multiple shooters. Now, there is the report that these shots were, overlapping, that there had to be more than one shooter and the shots were overlapping. And I will say to me that there seems to be sometimes when it sounds that way. But I do know, being an audio engineer, that echo can sure mess with your mind. Slap back off of buildings is disorienting. I've been on stage when the monitors weren't higher than the big house speakers and big outdoor events with buildings nearby, and the slap back would throw my rhythm off because I was hearing it equal to or almost more than the monitors themselves. So it can be really deceiving. I do believe there was a possibility that this was a multi-shooter event, and part of that has to do with that one witness who says the couple, a man and a woman, walked through the concert 45 minutes before the shooting, telling everyone they were going to die. So that does seem to support a conspiracy theory. At first, I fingered I put the blame on the girlfriend, but apparently she had already left town. And I'm going to do a video on the girlfriend, because my video about the girlfriend was in on it has kind of gone viral. This morning I'm over 40,000 views on that one video. So I'm going to follow up with more information that's come to light and why I think the girlfriend was the brains behind the operation. So bear with me as we continue to decipher all of this and get to the bottom of what really happened.